Hey YouTube, this is Cayem Interviews and I am your host Tim Cayem, and today I want to talk to you all about the top 10 best drummers in metalcore. Now I know this is going to be a heated discussion in the comments, and I'm sure most of you subscribe to Cayem Interviews are metalcore drummer fans. But before I get into this list, I kind of want to break down some caveats of this list, okay? So top 10 metalcore drummers, that means we're not including prog, we're not including pop punk, we're not including alternative. These are pure metalcore drummers, meaning if you search these bands up on Wikipedia, metalcore will be in their genre description. I have a few honorable mentions at the end, and they basically refer to the prog genre as they kind of blend into what could be known as metalcore. But for the most part, these are all pretty standard metalcore bands and metalcore drummers. So without further ado, let's get into this list of the top 10 best metalcore drummers in my opinion. Let it be known that these are not in a specific order. We're just going through my top 10 favorites. Number 1, I'm going to go with Pablo from Chelsea Grin. Pablo is very popular on this channel, and it's for a specific reason. The guy is a monster behind the kit. He's very fast, very clean, and the dude is very technical. Not a lot of metalcore drummers play with as many toms as Pablo, but he really makes it work and makes their stuff sound insanely huge with triggers on his kick, and those massive screams, again, just are like so impressive to hear in a live scenario. Watching this guy on Warped Tour was just leaps and bounds better than most anyone on the entire tour. I mean, I don't even love Chelsea Grin as a band, but watching Pablo behind the kit is just insane to see. And the brutal screams that guy has while he's busting out some really crazy technical stuff on the kit is really impressive to see, and I suggest you go check out some live videos of Chelsea Grin. Number 2, I have Nick Peterson from Northlane. Of course, Nick Peterson is a fan favorite as the Northlane drum parts are not easy to play. I know Nick does not write all of the drum parts for Northlane, but I do know that he plays them very clean. Nick was actually the first drummer I ever had on Cayem Interviews for a drum cam, and he was one of the first drummers that I was super stoked to see what he's doing behind the kit and try to make sense of it all. There's no doubt that Nick plays some stuff that are leaps and bounds more difficult than what most people are playing in metalcore, and the fact that he can pull it off in a live scenario is pretty impressive. He plays a more simpler kit and kind of an open-handed setup most of the time with his structure for playing, but I think it's really cool the way he plays, and it almost keeps you on the edge of your seat trying to see how he can pull some of this stuff off because he's so relaxed while he's playing. He's one of those drummers that makes it look easy and it kind of pisses you off because you're like, yeah, that's definitely not that easy to do, but the guy's super talented, so he makes it in my top 10. Number 3 on my list is Josh Manuel from Issues. The dude is just so tasteful, and above all else, he is very, very creative with his drum parts. I remember first starting to do drum cams in the metalcore scene, and watching Josh play was super interesting because certain things that I'd listened to on record, I'd think he was playing with his kick, but he was like doing something on his floor tom and mixing that in with a random fill with like a hi-hat or a splash. And it's just super interesting the way the guy thinks and the way he executes what his vision is behind the kit. He does a lot of cool playthroughs and whatnot on Twitch as well, so I definitely recommend checking him out as he is taking advantage of this quarantine time and showing a lot of people how complex his stuff is behind the kit, and he always has so much fun playing. He's another dude that makes it look way too easy, and you're like, what the hell, dude? Josh's progression throughout the years has been super interesting to witness. I mean, when I first started doing drum cams with him, he had like a very simple kit, simple setup, and now I feel like each tour he's slowly added on his kit and both toms and cymbals. So that's been super cool to see. The guy is super fun to watch, whether it's on recording or if it's on a live scenario. Again, he's just another drummer that makes it look way too easy, and I have the utmost respect for you, Josh. Number 4, Adam Gray from Texas in July. I did an interview with Matt Greiner way back when, and I asked him if someone were to replace you in August Burns Red, who would you want it to be? And he, without hesitation, replied with Adam Gray because the dude is insanely talented. I mean, he can play anything Matt Greiner can play and do it flashier. I mean, he's an insanely talented drummer, and it's such a shame that Texas in July isn't around anymore because he's an amazing drummer, and he's super technical, and he's super fast and super clean. So definitely Adam Gray. I would definitely put him on my top 10 list. Number 5 for me, as we're halfway throughout my top 10 list, is Chris Turner from Ocean's 8, Alaska. Chris Turner is an insanely talented drummer in pretty much any aspect you can possibly put on the rating of a drummer. I'd say that Chris Turner is probably the most unique drummer in metalcore right now, and he can play anything you throw his way. I mean, there's not a single thing I think you could throw his way that he would have difficulty playing. He has the power, he has the showmanship, he's very technical. The only thing that's a little weird is watching his facial expressions while he's playing, but I think it's kind of fun and puts a unique stamp on his playing, and I would just love to see the guy flourish in a bigger band maybe in the future, as Ocean's 8 Alaska is kind of a deeper cut in terms of metalcore popularity. But I think the dude is easily probably the top 3 for me in terms of best metalcore drummers ever. Number 6 for me is Alex Camarena from Silent Planet. Of course, I've been doing drum videos with Alex for quite some time, as Silent Planet is kind of a hometown staple here in Southern California. First meeting Garrett and hearing him talk about Alex, I just figured he was blowing smoke up my ass saying that he was super good. But I mean, Alex is definitely one of the top best drummers in metalcore, as he is so tasteful and has so much power. And I feel like the dude just finds a way to play in the pocket better than most drummers in this genre. He has some of the most creative fills in metalcore, and sometimes I would just never guess what he's about to play, and he does it in a really tasteful way. The dude has such a knack for finding creativity behind the kit and does it in such a tasteful way. And I think it's fun for all fans to get a little bit better at drumming, whether they're drummers or not, at understanding what you can do behind a kit in metalcore. And he's definitely pushed that envelope, I think, and definitely made the genre a better place for drummers. Number 7 for me is another popular drummer on this channel, Conor Dennis from Beartooth. As I'm sure most of you know, Conor Dennis started out in Bean as an Ocean and now worked his way into Beartooth, and is just an overall great pocket drummer with extreme power and flair. The fun thing to witness with Conor's drumming is that he kind of brings that rock and roll flair to metalcore while also having the technique and complexity of metalcore, and does it with extreme power and grit that the rock and roll genre had back in like the 80s or 90s. And while Conor doesn't write the parts for Beartooth as well, as Caleb Shomo is the only credited songwriter for the band, Conor definitely brings their live performance to another notch, as he, adds fills that aren't on the record and has things like a drum solo during their set. I really love the niche that Conor's found here in metalcore, and I really tip my hat to him, as he's found his way of bringing such power and grit to the genre in a different form that's not Aaron Gillespie. And that's something that everyone kind of compared him to in the beginning stages of his career. And he's really found his voice and niche here in 2020. Number 8 for me is probably an underrated drummer that most of you wouldn't expect. His name is Cody Asche in the band Siler. Seeing Cody play every night while I was on tour was extremely eye-opening to the fact that the dude has crazy chops. He's super creative and tasteful with everything he does behind the kit. I definitely think that most people can pin him as just another metalcore drummer. But if you really check out his things that he does on YouTube or posting on Instagram, whatever, Cody's a very talented drummer and can play every genre with a lot of great chops and power and creativity. So I definitely think that you should check out Cody Asche and open your eyes to that dude being one of metalcore's top 10 best drummers. Number 9, and another popular drummer on this channel, is Kyle Brownlee from Counterparts. Kyle is very accurate and equal with his hits, and I think that gives a huge advantage to him being one of metalcore's top best drummers. I'm not sure if Kyle learned drums from Rock Band, but I know that Rock Band was a huge pivotal point for him to become such a great drummer, and he is listed as the number 1 best Rock Band drummer in the world, and he said that will never be dethroned because of some thing that he did in the early stages of Rock Band or something. So essentially, if anyone gets 100% on whatever things he did, they would still be listed as second place or third place or whatever. But it's so crazy that you can kind of see it in his playing, how robotic and exact he is in his playing. And I think it's super fun to watch and very refreshing. And for me as a cameraman, videotaping Kyle is always anxiety free, because I know he's going to hit everything and I know he's not going to mess up. And number 10, what would metalcore drumming be without Matt Greiner from August Burns Red? Of course, Matt Greiner is someone that anyone associates metalcore drumming with, and that's for a specific reason. The dude is an amazing metalcore drummer. Matt Greiner may not be the absolute best drummer in metalcore, but there's no doubt that he paved the way for so many drummers to be what they are now in metalcore. Matt Greiner is clean, technical, and even in 2020, as their band has been around for so many years, he's still finding ways to outdo himself and be fun in a live setting. I really love the guy as a person as well. Not that that has anything to do with who made this list, but I just think it's so awesome that he's done so much for the drum community in metalcore, and he's still paving the way for others to learn more about drums and how to be better technical drummers in metalcore. Some honorable mentions I have that are kind of bleeding from the metalcore genre to prog are Luke Holland, as he was in The Word Alive, which was a metalcore band. Obviously, Luke Holland is a very talented drummer, as the dude was a prodigy at the age of like 14 and has come such a long way. It's been really refreshing to see how great he's gotten and kind of found his own voice in the solo scene. Also, another honorable mention is Alex Rudinger. He's done a ton of features in bands like The Faceless, Whitechapel, etc. Definitely more of a prog drummer, and you know, it's very possible in the future that I do a top 10 on prog drummers specifically, because that's a whole nother world and a whole nother caliber of talent that kind of tackles something completely different. And my last honorable mention is Blake Richardson from Between the Buried and Me. Blake Richardson is obviously a very talented individual with extreme technique, but again, Between the Buried and Me is kind of one of those bands that's more on the verge of prog than they are metalcore, but I guess I'd throw them in there for an honorable mention as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that top 10 list of my top 10 favorite metalcore drummers. I really hope that you get involved in this comment section and show people some drummers that I did not list, because I know there are some that are extremely talented that didn't make the cut. And again, as much as I really wanted to include drummers like from pop punk and alternative and prog, I just really thought the best way to make this informative for people was to limit it to metalcore specifically. So of course we can do videos in the future on prog or pop punk or alternative, but right now I just wanted to stick to metalcore as a genre. Please let me know in the comments below who you think should have been in this video. Let me know if you want me to tackle a different genre next, and we can get to it here on Cayem Interviews. This is an opinion-based channel. There's no problem with difference of opinion, and everything is accepted here, and we love discussion. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Connect with me on social media. All that good stuff is in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Cayem Interviews. Peace out.